The First Minister is calling on Margaret Ferrier to resign as an MP for breaking the COVID rules. She travelled from London to Glasgow by train after testing positive for coronavirus. The SNP have already suspended her from the party. Nicola Sturgeon said she had no power to force her to quit Parliament, but said she hoped she would do the right thing.
The First Minister said she did so with a heavy heart because Margaret Ferrier was a friend and colleague, but her actions were dangerous and indefensible. Well, our political editor Colin Mackay is in Rutherglen and Hamilton West constituency. Colin, how much pressure is there on the MP to go?
Do you know, I think there's more pressure on Margaret Ferrier to quit as an MP than I've ever seen before. When we broke the news on the programme last night, it wasn't quite clear the extent to which she'd broken the rules. The more that we've seen of that today, the more stupid it looks. And actually, the common theme that I've heard from everybody I've spoken to about this is that they're just incredulous. But the one person we haven't heard from today is Margaret Ferrier herself. We haven't heard anything since her tweet last night apologising for this. But what we have heard is that she told her party at Westminster that she was travelling north because a member of her family was sick. But what it turned out was that she had tested positive for coronavirus. And the First Minister today described the mistakes as monumental and incomprehensible. Usually in circumstances like this, political allies rally round. Not in this one. Margaret Ferrier and the First Minister are friends.
We need this woman back.
The two spoke on the phone this morning, and Nicola Sturgeon had a tough message.
I've also spoken to her directly and made crystal clear to her that I think she should now resign as an MP. Now, people contact me and say, why don't you just sack her? And this is a point that I have to make clear. I don't have the power to force an MP to step down. No party leader has that power. But I can make my views known, difficult though it is, and I have done so. And I hope she will come to the right decision in the interests of the overall integrity of these vital public health messages.
On Saturday, the SNP MP felt unwell and got tested for coronavirus. On Monday, she travelled by train to London and later spoke in the Commons.
I'd like to start by paying tribute to all NHS key workers and volunteers in my constituency for their care and commitment over the last 7 months.
Afterwards on Monday, she found she'd tested positive and travelled back to Glasgow by train on Tuesday. All of this when the Scottish Government's message to teenage students testing positive was self-isolate in their halls of residence and a warning that if they had to go home, don't use public transport.
Can she give me a cogent explanation as to why she did it? No, but in a sense, that doesn't matter. Nobody can have an excuse really for that kind of breach. Travelling on a train when you know you're positive with COVID right now is possibly the worst breach imaginable.
When the Prime Minister's top advisor Dominic Cummings broke lockdown rules, New Scottish Conservative leader Douglas Ross quit as a minister in protest. Today he's leading opposition calls for Margaret Ferrier to quit.
It was stupid and it was dangerous. It's the only two words I can think of. You know, it was an ultimate act of recklessness and stupidity. When you know you are infectious, when you have taken the test because you know how important it is for us to get on top of this virus, yet you still get on public transport, potentially spreading that virus to many other people.
No wonder everybody is throwing the book at her, but what she really needs to do is take the decision and publicly declare that she is resigning as a Member of Parliament.
Margaret Ferrier won Rutherglen and Hamilton West in 2015, lost it to Labour in 2017 and won it back with a 5,000 majority last year. She could now face losing it again to her own mistakes.
She knew what she was doing. It's shocking. My husband's been in hospital. There are nurses who are working flat out trying to help people with COVID, and she has flouted the law. It's a disgrace.
My son travelled all the way from London to see me, 500 miles, and wasn't allowed in the hospital. And that
person
does that.
Surely she's got to resign. If it was any one of us that were in our job, then we would get into trouble for it.
I think it's very silly considering all the sacrifices everybody else is making, including ourselves wearing masks, travelling about.
As well as having coronavirus, Margaret Ferrier is under increasing pressure to resign as an MP. She could face a recall petition from constituents if she's suspended from Parliament for 10 days. That's as close to being sacked as it gets for an MP. Otherwise, it's up to her to resign her seat. The First Minister says she should do the right thing. Colin Mackay, STV News.